Blessings and greetings. Such a blessing to bask in the magnificence of this morning, yes?
Yes.
I am so inspired to share this sacred moment in eternity with you. Matter of fact, just take a deep breath in with me for a moment. As we breathe in, notice that space. The space between the breaths, because the breath in is life, and as we breathe out, it's a symbolism of death, but in that space between is eternity. This is a sacred moment in eternity. And as we tune into that, listening to our own inner wisdom is when we remember, when we come home, when we are home, in the source of our presence and the source of our power. I remember remembering to remember. When I was remembering to remember, and part of that journey for me began when I was 15 years old. I embarked on a quest. It was for a quest for truth, for freedom, for enlightenment. Except back then I called it running away from home. And I was experiencing the river rising in my life. I was feeling frustration. I was feeling confusion. I was feeling misunderstood. I was feeling like I didn't belong. I was feeling almost like I didn't belong on this planet. You ever been there? I was like, how'd I get here? I looked around and it seemed like obvious absurdities around me. And I knew inside that I was destined for more than what was showing up in my life. And in that time, while I was experiencing that river rising, that pressure, I began to ask some of the most essential questions. I tuned in and started asking questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? Who is God? And in my deepest yearning, my deepest desire to know truth, to know divine wisdom, to know myself in the reflection of another, to truly know God, answers became revealed. Because when you ask and you're receptive and sincere, prayers are answered. There's a great book that says, ask and you shall. Yes, ask and you shall receive. Seek and you will find. But there's different levels of truth. See, there's one level of truth that when you ask, you're coming from a frame of you're asking for something and you are seeking an answer. And when you're sincere, you will receive that answer. But that's one level. Another level is that when you ask, the question that you're asking presupposes the answer which you already know is there. There is no lack. There isn't anything that you're asking for that isn't already present. Then the presupposition that is inherent in the question that you're asking is in alignment with what it is that you are invoking or calling in. Someone says, what am I so grateful for today? What does that presuppose? There is gratitude and abundance all around you, which causes more of it to come and flow into your life. Or another question becomes, how can I be even more aware? How can I be even more aware right now in this eternal moment of the unlimited opportunities that are surrounding me? And as you ask these more empowering questions, you feel your own energy elevate. Because it's energy. It's a play and dance of divine flow and divine energy. But yet there's another level of question. And the next level of question isn't where you're asking the questions with the presuppositions that, and you know what I mean by presuppositions? Presupposition means that there is an assumption that is embedded in the question which presupposes the existence of something. I mean, I give you an example of presupposition that may not be so empowering. Just came back from a talk in Detroit, and one person came up to me afterwards during my talk, and he said to me, Niurka, everything you're talking about is really great, but I'm curious, how am I going to survive in this marketplace? Whoa. What's the presupposition there? Yes, now here's the thing. We live in a universe of infinite possibility. So if you're looking for what isn't working, guess what shows up? Yes, it's all available. It's all available. This is good news. So it will be given to you as you call it in. And your language is one of your greatest gifts because you create as you speak. Your word has power. So you can begin to ask questions that presuppose that which is in alignment with your higher self, that which is in alignment with divine love, divine joy, divine peace. But then there's the next level of question where you're asking from a space of love and devotion. There is no calling in of an answer because it's already done. It's already there. You already have it. It is you. It's your life. It's flowing through you. It's in you. It's as you. It's through you. It's like the dialogues of Shiva. Shiva and Devi, when she sits on his lap and says to him, "My Lord, what is your reality? What is this wonder-filled universe?" Now, is she looking for like a concrete answer? Like, well, let me tell you about let me give you the quantum physics standpoint of the wonder-filled universe. Yes or no? No, it's a devotion. It's a dance. She's in the flow. And in that receptive place, the beneficence happens. The gift. Look at nature. Nature is such an incredible teacher because nature always fills a receptive vessel. So Devi asks in her devotion, and she is so receptive, and the universe fills. And Shiva gives to her, in her questioning, practices. Simple practices. One can begin with the breath, but the practice is a practice to remember your source. It's a practice to remember that which is flowing through you, beating your heart right now. It's to tune into that. Would you like me to give you a practice that would allow you to remember even more even now so you are able to live in this frequency which is your life and be consciously aware of it when things in the world happen that challenge you, things in the world happen that appear to shackle or have the river rise, you are able to hold that high vibration. Would that be good, yes or no? Yes. Okay. How's everybody doing? Uncross your arms, uncross your legs. Put your hands on your lap facing up like this and connect the tongue to the roof of your mouth. And this begins to support you in flowing your Kundalini energy. And say to yourself, I am receptive. I am super receptive. And as you say this, it opens up the vessel and you will be blessed. It's already given unto you. It's already done. I'm reminded of a story of Buddha. And as he went on his journey seeking, not really seeking, his journey to remember the source of his presence and power, he sat there in meditation and had that satori, that instant awakening. And one of his students came to him. And the student came to him open, receptive, just like this, sincere. And the Buddha looked at him and saw the truth about him. And when he looked at him and saw the truth, he touched his head. And the student started spinning and dancing in divine joy and divine bliss. He had an awakening. He had a moment of satori. He remembered his source. And then the Buddha's brother was looking over at him going, hey, wait a minute, I've been around here for a long time and that hasn't happened to me. I've been following you. I've been devoted. And all of a sudden you touch his forehead and he has this awakening of consciousness. Is that for real? Is that guy for real? See, the thing is that when the Buddha saw that student who came in that space of complete open devotion, he saw the truth about him. That's what I experienced and what I felt when all the practitioners were walking around the room yesterday, yes? They were looking and seeing the truth, and when they see nothing else. There is no Maya. There is no illusion. I see the truth about you. The power and the presence of Source, and there is nothing else there. And in the presence of that, that's what is the Christ consciousness. That's why miracles happen. Miracles are natural. They're expressions of love, and they come from the recognition of being able to see the truth beyond the appearances, beyond the Maya, beyond the seeming lack and limitation, beyond any of that. To hold that space, and that's the greatest gift we could give to each other, is that when we look, we see that reflection. Hold that space for each other. Hold that sacred space. So then the brother said, well, what about me? And the Buddha said to him, you will not fully awaken until I die. And he said, well, why not? And the reason was because when the Buddha's brother told him that he would follow in his path, he said, I will follow you for my life. But I only ask 3 things. He said, first thing I ask is that no matter what, you would never turn me away. He said, number 2, if I ever bring you someone, promise me that you'll take them in. And number 3, I want to sleep in the same quarters that you sleep in. And I will follow you and be devoted to you. The challenge was that he had all these mental stipulations about how specifically it was supposed to happen. Does that make sense? He wanted it to happen a very specific way. Well, if you kind of do it this way and this way and this way, then... So he was stuck in the mind. And I'll tell you something about the mind. The mind is a wonderful servant, but it's a terrible master. It is. You are the one who has a mind, and when someone is caught up in that thinking that they are the mind, that is the forgetting. That is the forgetting, thinking that that is the source. You're not the mind, you're the one who has the mind. I'll give you an example. Haven't you ever said to yourself, I can't believe you did that? You ever said that? I can't believe you did that. Am I? Oh, got it. Oh, it's loud. Thank you. I can't believe you did that. So who's the you that did it? Who's the you that can't believe you did it? And who's the you observing this whole thing happening? So the mind is a wonderful servant but a terrible master. So when you learn how to rise above the mind, I'm going to give you some practices today. You want some specific practices on how to do this? Yes? Am I the most inspired person in the room? Just checking. Very inspired room. So I'm going to give you some practices because here's how the mind works. The